Welcome, everybody, to the Ball and Blitz podcast, episode 1. My name is Lando. I'm joined by JAYDEN Siegert in the cut, in the flesh, the man, the myth, the legend. This is a pod we've talked about doing, I wouldn't say extensively, but we've definitely talked about doing something like this before. I guess we can just run down what the vision of this pod is supposed to look like, what we're going to talk about, what the focus is going to be, what we as analysts excel at, what we as scouts excel at. So, yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, like you said, it's Jaden Siegert, just a guy who loves football. Just wanted to talk about it and be involved with football for a profession for a long time. We, like you said, we kind of just mentioned it like, oh, it'd be fun to do this, but now about time we just decided to do it. Just wanted to talk about it and share everything we know, everything we think that we know with all of you. And that's about it.
Yeah, so a little context. Jaden and I have known each other, what, like
Something
5
that.
years
4 or
now?
5 years.
4 or 5 years, something like that. I'd say I started taking scouting and really just analysis seriously probably a couple years ago, but we've known each
Oh
other
yeah.
for a
Yeah.
while. I think I was 17 years old when I first
Yep.
talked to you on Instagram. We originally started out as just like basketball guys. I didn't really know, I was always into football, but I didn't really know who else was
hmm
into football. And as we, over time, have just gotten better and better and better at what we do as scouts and analysts, we feel like we have knowledge together that we can share that is unique, that's different, that is like honestly, frankly, just better than a lot of people with platforms. So I don't know. We're just gonna have fun with this. Give us feedback, please. Please
Want
give
to hear
us
from all of
feedback.
you.
Yeah, for real. We need feedback. Want to know what you guys want to see, want to listen to, what you want us to talk about. If you have specific prospects you want us to talk about or specific teams you want us to talk about, we want to hear it. So I guess we could just, that's a good enough segue to get into our topic today, which what we're going to be talking about today is the 3 best and 3 worst situations in the National Football League. Don't really have like a main basis for why we chose this topic. Personally, I just think it's a fun thing to talk about. You get to essentially praise up teams that are doing the right thing, and you get to shit talk the teams that are the Atlanta Falcons, and what they do on a day in day out basis. So, um, yeah, man, let's just get into it. So, who do we want to talk about first? Because we have our teams set. We have the teams we want to talk about for both categories set. Who do you want to start
Do
out
we
with?
want to get into uh, start it off on the wrong foot and talk about the teams that are just in a dumpster fire right now, or do we want to start our podcast off on a lighter note, talk about one of the teams that are doing it really well right now?
I think we should finish with the
All
worst
right,
situations. I think that's a
all
fun
right,
way to end to
we
finish
can
the
start
pod.
with the
So,
best then.
right. So, for our 3 best situations, we've kind of came to an agreement together, Jaden and I, on the 3 best situations. So, with an honorable mention, I guess going to the Green Bay Packers. We kind of talked about this pre-pod. They're a team that I think roster-wise is as talented as any team in the National Football League. And you can attest to this better than I can because you're a Green Bay Packers fan. Like if we ever were to talk about the Chiefs, which is the team I'm a fan of, it'd be a lot easier
Yep.
for me to go deeper into detail. But a team that's talented
hmm
everywhere. They're a team that consistently drafts well. Um, I'd say past day one is kind of where they make their
Which
money. I think Jordan Love was a phenomenal pick where they got him. But I'm more of a fan of like the draft and develop guys that they
right?
have. I was a huge. I mean, we talked about Edgerrin
Oh
Cooper
yeah.
pre-draft extensively, man. Love him. Just a team that I think is on the right track. They're doing all the right things. The process is there. They're not a team that doesn't know what needs to address every single season. They're not panicking. I think sometimes just things don't fall the right way, whether it be for injuries or just
Hmm.
matchups. But when I look at the Green Bay Packers, and you can kind of piggyback off of this. I think they are the most talented team in the NFC and maybe in football. Like they're up there. They really are. And there's inconsistencies. I understand. I think it'd be better if you could go deeper into detail about why we chose the
Yeah,
Packers
I
as
think the
you mentioned.
Packers, obviously they don't have a first round pick this year or this upcoming draft or the next draft, which is probably why we left them outside of the top three. But I mean, I think they have playmakers all over the field, offensively and defensively. I think right now they have a top 3 to 5 defense in the NFL, and I think, I mean, as little bias as possible, I think Jordan Love's a very good quarterback. I think the problem with them right now is the inconsistency with play calling. I think we rely too heavily on Josh Jacobs, which it, it, it's nice because Josh Jacobs is a great player, but the offensive line struggled this year, so it's been hard to run the ball, and we haven't deviated from the original kind of just turn around and give it to Josh Jacobs. I think they need to let Jordan Love play more, and they they have a ton of playmakers. They obviously don't have the alpha playmaker, especially after Tucker Kraft's injury. I think
Right.
that offensively plus their offensive line issues is about all they're missing from being probably the best team in football. I mean, they are awesome everywhere else. I mean, they could maybe use a cornerback one, but I mean, other than that, they have a great roster. They have some questionable coaching sometimes, and the offensive line struggled this year. But other than that, I think they're in pretty much a perfect situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think my hang up with them, with the offensive line especially, is there's legitimate resources invested into that offensive line. This is not a team that's throwing three rookies and two, just late August free agent guys. There are legitimate players on that offensive line, and when I watch them, it kind of feels like there are players that have. When I watch, for example, when I watch Elgton
Yep.
Jenkins, right? When I watch him play ball, I think there are reps where he's one of the most dominant interior offensive linemen in the entire National Football
Mhm.
League, and I think you see those pretty consistently. And this is kind of a similar role that the Kansas City Chiefs are in. They have a lot of resources invested into the offensive line. You just can't pinpoint one thing. At least I don't think you can pinpoint one thing and say this is what they need to fix on the offensive line because there are resources invested into that offensive
Yeah.
line. It's not.
Oh, sorry. They did.
No, you're. I was just gonna say it's not like you have a talent
No,
void. The talent is
they
there.
did put a bunch of money in the offensive line. Zach Tom's obviously a great offensive tackle. He's coming off injury. He struggled a little bit in the run game for a couple of weeks. Still a great pass blocking offensive tackle, one of the best in the league. And then outside of that, that's where pretty much all the problems are. They slid Elton Jenkins in from guard. Now he's playing center. Unfamiliar with center, and it showed
Hmm.
a lot. It's slowly getting better, but a lot of penalties, a lot of missed assignments, and then Sean Ryan and Jordan Morgan, that kind of mess that they have there at guard as well between those two. Neither one is really taking over the job. It's kind of who loses it one week and then who loses it the next week. Uh, Rasheed Walker is he's fine for where you drafted him. You're happy with what you get from him.
The fact that he's
Yeah,
still in
as
the
a seventh
league
round pick,
as multiple years down the line
starting as
is.
a
You
blindside
take
tackle,
that.
you're happy with that. It's very
Right.
like puzzling. I think their moves on the offensive line are like moves without confidence. I think paying Aaron Banks, one, paying him a ton of money, um, and then two, paying him right after you drafted Jordan Morgan in the first round, and the year before drafting Sean Ryan in the third round, a guy that all I had heard was positive things prior to this season. And so you have those two guards that you drafted fairly highly, and then you go and pay this journeyman guard a lot of money to come in and not play very well. So it's just kind of confusing on the offensive line. And I think that's kind of why they're not in the top 3 best situations right now. They just have some holes that they need to fix, but a lot of money put into that hole, which is tough to get out of sometimes.
Right, especially without the first
Yep.
round picks. I mean, you obviously you make that trade 10 times out of 10.
Mhm.
That's an objectively phenomenal trade. I think Micah Parsons is going to outplay those two
Oh
first
yeah,
round
for
picks
sure.
if he's a Packer the rest of his career,
Mhm.
easily. Whether that comes with first team All Pros or Super Bowls or whatever, He's going to outplay
Yeah.
that value. He just is. He's that player. Yeah, and I started this whole segment off with the Packers saying they have phenomenal process in everything they do, and I do believe that. The Aaron Banks thing confused the shit out of me, man. It never made sense in the moment. I get wanting competitive depth on the interior of the offensive line. This is a position with incredible attrition. You have
Hmm.
to have depth in the interior of the offensive line. So I get that, but the contract that you guys gave him, it just felt like you could have downsized to if you're going to go after a journeyman guard,
Hmm.
right? You can go after someone that is a way lower price point. And sure, he might not give you the same level of play on field, but is Aaron Banks, really impressing you to the point where you'd rather have him over the cheaper option on a shorter
Hmm.
term deal? I don't
Yep.
know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The Aaron Banks one just completely confused me. It seemed like a panic move, like they saw something in Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan that they didn't like, and they just kind of paid him without thinking. And I don't know. I guess that might be more of a concern with Morgan and Ryan, considering both of them have not performed particularly well to this point. But I mean, if that the biggest flaw with the team right now is your probably your fourth best offensive lineman, I'd say you're in a good spot, which is why I'd have them as an
Right.
honorable mention right now.
Yeah, they're just a weird. They've lost a bunch of games they should never lose. Like you should just
Yep.
never lose to the
No.
Panthers. Unfortunately, you should never lose to the Browns. And I want to say you should never tie with the Cowboys, but this was pre Quinnen Williams
Hmm.
Cowboys and pre who I guess Logan Wilson's not making as near of an impact, but pre trade deadline Dallas Cowboys, they are a
Oh
clearly
yeah.
different
Yeah.
team
No.
now, built completely
Some
differently.
inexcusable losses, which I think it boils down to just late game execution and late game. I just kind of trust in the quarterback. You paid him what
Right.
55 or 60 million dollars a year, and to turn around and hand it off to Josh Jacobs 25 times a game, and their offense at times looks like Iowa. It looks like Iowa football, and
Yeah.
it's just a hard watch.
That's not a good process. That's not a good way to build your
Yep.
football team, Iowa
Yeah. No.
offensively.
Never. Never.
But we talk about Jordan Love being this super uber talented quarterback. He has the best all 22. Like if you took his cut up, he would have the best all 22 of any quarterback I've ever seen. Maybe since
Oh.
Rodgers. I I think he has better throws than Mahomes. I think he has better throws than Allen. The windows that he can fit things into are just no quarterback can do that on earth. And I think a team that we're about to talk about is in a complete opposite situation with their quarterback. And I'm talking about the Denver Broncos, who's a team that's in one of our best situations, and it's because they are as good at every other position besides quarterback as anyone in the
Hmm.
AFC. They are. They have the best defense in football. Maybe you want to say Houston's better. I think the Denver Broncos are better just because I fear the secondary a little bit more with Patrick Surtain
Yeah.
healthy. Uh, just a incredibly built team. They just extended their center Luke Wattenberg. It was either today or
Yep.
yesterday. Very good player. Their offensive line is they're not a young offensive line, Mike McGlinchey, Garrett Bowles, but they are all extended for
Hmm.
the future. So you have that five for the next 2 to 3 years with Bo
Hmm.
Nix, right? And I'd like to say I believe they're going to be able to fix the running back position. J.K. Dobbins was having an excellent season, a career year with Denver before he did go down with an
Hmm.
injury, which predictable,
Yeah.
as at this point in his career, you kind of have to expect that. But just defensively, man, they are ferocious. They are more physical than you. They are more athletic than you. They are more talented than you, and they are ran
Oh
better
yeah.
than you. They win one-on-ones at an incredibly high rate. I don't know if they're on pace to break the sack record anymore, but they're going to get
Close.
damn
Very close.
close.
I think
Yeah,
that's the most impressive individual unit in the NFL right now. Like you want to talk about
100%.
top tier
100%.
offenses, other top tier defenses. I think it's the Broncos defense. I don't think there's really a close
Right.
second. I think Houston's defense being able to keep them in games enough to win games right now with Davis Mills at quarterback and
Yeah.
just kind of no offense is very impressive. But the Broncos defense right now, you have 11 guys that would just stand out on most defenses. Not like just start, but like you have 11 guys that would be household names if they weren't just like rotational players in Denver, because that's how good their
Right.
defense is, top to bottom. Their pass rush
Right.
best in the NFL, I think, by a lot. Their linebackers, I think, is the only part of the defense that is questionable. Their
Yeah.
linebackers don't do particularly well in pass coverage, but they do a good enough job
Yeah.
stopping the run. And when your pass rush is as good as the Denver Broncos is, if your linebackers aren't excellent at covering the pass, you can look at that, because quarterbacks don't have time to get to their second or third read on the average play anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then their secondary
Yeah.
goes without saying.
Right. When healthy,
Yeah.
for sure. It's kind of with PS2 or with Patrick Surtain hurt. I don't want to say it's because it's still pretty good. You have Riley Moss, who's a good
Mhm.
cornerback. You have Ja'Day Barron, who's a young player. He's kind of had some ups and downs, but he is a talented player. He's going to be good
Yep.
in the NFL. This is not a bad secondary without
No,
Patrick Surtain. And when you add a defensive player of the year to that secondary, like you said, it's the best individual unit in the National Football League. And I don't think there is a
I
close
don't
second.
believe so
Like
either.
you said, I don't think there's an offense that stacks up to it. You could say maybe the Colts, but I think anyone who's watched the Colts understands how to
Yeah,
shut down
and
that offense.
no disrespect to Daniel Jones, he's had an awesome year. I think he's a lot better than what he looked like in New York. But any offense led by Daniel Jones, I don't think is going. I don't think they can sustain this level of production, at least to the point where it's going to like mean anything come January. So that's why I would take Denver's, because I think Denver's will translate to the postseason, because
With Denver, you're going to go as far as Bo Nix takes you. As good as he wants to play is as far as you're going to go. Would it shock me to see them playing in February? No, it wouldn't, because I could see Bo Nix going on a heater where they all of a sudden start winning 50-50 balls at an incredibly high rate. They find a way to run the ball successfully. I know J.K. Dobbins is out till at least the Super Bowl. If they made it, he's not playing in the Super Bowl. They don't really have an option in the run game that you love. I mean, I think R.J. Harvey is a fun young player. On my board, he was overdrafted. I don't know how you felt. That was an incredibly high pick for me. And I feel like it shows.
I liked Harvey a decent bit. I had him graded as a late fourth round prospect, but that's also, I'm not a huge fan of drafting running backs terribly early unless they like absolutely jump off the tape. But I don't think there are problems with Harvey. I think Harvey filled his role perfectly. I think he did exactly what he was drafted to do. I think the problem is they just didn't have anyone to back up J.K. Dobbins when he got hurt. They don't have another bruising back type guy. They don't have a guy that you can give the ball on first and second down and have him go get you forward 5 yards between the tackles. I mean, Harvey can do that, but he's not going to wear a defense down like Dobbins did. They're big.
And he just hasn't seen enough defenses either in the NFL to know, to know how to execute against certain schemes. J.K. Dobbins has been in the Baltimore run scheme and now in Denver, and he was with LA last year, so he's kind of just taking a trip around the entire AFC. But he has seen a lot. He's been in the league a while. Was drafted in 2020, I believe. I believe it was 2020. Right, and he knows what he's seeing. The problem with him, I mean, you lose on pace for a 1,300-yard rusher, it's hard to replicate. Even if you draft a guy high in the second round, can't always expect that guy to just explode onto the scene. Like look at what Ashton Genty is doing. Amarian Hampton's been out for the whole season. Travion Henderson is just now picking up steam. It's hard for a rookie running back to find success, man. It's rare. Getting the Ezekiel Elliott's, the Saquons, it's rare, man.
And
they don't have a backup option.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to they drafted Harvey with the plan to go get a J.K. Dobbins type guy. And I think they signed J.K. Dobbins to complement Harvey. I don't think Harvey can replicate what Dobbins did, because I think they're two completely different running backs. And
I think it's a fantastic compliment. I like the process.
It's awesome.
I think it makes sense.
What they did was very smart. Problem is now they're two running backs behind Harvey are Jaleel McLaughlin, another kind of short, small, quick little scat back, and then Tyler Bidet, I believe. Same type of guy. He's practically just a slot receiver playing out of the backfield. Great pass catcher.
These are guys that aren't really rosterable guys, but because the situation you're in. Jaleel McLaughlin's a good player, and I have not seen enough of Tyler Beatty or Beatty, however you say it, to understand if he's, anything. But you lose your first running back, J.K. Dobbins, and maybe that's on them for, believing that he could stay healthy for a full season when everything up to this point has shown otherwise. Maybe that's, an oversight, but I like the process, man. And the Broncos are just in a great spot. I don't think they're the Jets with their draft capital or the Rams with their draft capital, but they're a team that hasn't just thrown picks in the garbage, right? The Devon Vele trade they made, awesome process. I mean, we could have talked about the Saints today. What the fuck was that? I mean, what even was that?
What was it? Was it a fourth round pick?
I think they got a fourth.
I think it was a fourth and a seventh.
27.
Fourth and a seventh sounds right.
Yeah, something
fourth
like
and
that.
seventh for what? They're probably wide receiver 6 guy that might not have even.
He's a 27 years old, man. Like,
I don't know what the Saints were doing there. That's a very questionable decision on their part. Yeah, I don't even.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with the Broncos is I was not a huge believer in Bo Nix in the pre-draft process. He has outplayed any expectation I had for him, which that's awesome. He's looked fine. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I don't think he's a guy that's going to go out and lose you games. I don't think he's going to just absolutely shit the bed. I don't think he's I think he's a ceiling raiser, not a floor raiser. I think if you give him something good around him, he can elevate your team a little bit after that. He doesn't make the plays. He doesn't have the traits to like elevate a team around him that's not super great, and that's fine. There's plenty of jobs around the NFL, or plenty of quarterback openings around the NFL that teams would love to have a Bo Nix. And so, and this is the worst we're going to see of Bo Nix. This is the worst Bo Nix is going to be until the day he, I guess maybe not retires, maybe he gets washed when he gets older, but essentially till he retires. So if this is the worst you're going to see this quarterback, and you're going to have this kind of team built around him, especially defensively, there is no ceiling for this team. They're awesome. And honestly, this is probably the worst his weapons are going to be around him as well. Cortland Sutton, I think, is fine. He's not a crazy great wide receiver one. He's solid. He's reliable. And then you have a bunch of guys. It's similar to Green Bay's wide receiver core, except they do kind of have more of a one than Green Bay does. But it's just kind of a bunch of guys that are all pretty good, and they all excel at one thing. Cortland Sutton, the intermediate, 10 to 20 yards, excels at dig routes, physical, gets good in the red zone. Then you have Troy Franklin, speedster, good after the catch,
good
big plays.
He's outplayed every expectation I had. I did not like.
No, he's been very solid this year, and then just a bunch of other receivers that just do what they're supposed to do. And and I think they're going to build through their offense, because they have Surtain, they have Riley Moss, who I think is a good player. They have Jahdae Barron, who they just drafted. So their defense
is going to be a phenomenal.
So their secondary is taken care of. They have Nick Benito at edge. Their D line's taken care of. It's like now all you have to really worry about is building through your offensive weapons. You already talked about how their offensive line's already set for the next couple of years. So right now their only thing they got to do right now is build more around Bo Nix. So I think this is the worst we're going to see the Broncos offense for the next handful of years. And I think it's a very fine offense right now anyways. So if they're only going to get better than this, I could see an argument to have them at the number 1 or 2 spot right now, because that's just how good their defense is and how little flaws they have elsewhere.
Do you want to hear an AFC West take that I truly believe this? I have not, and I've talked to you about this, off air just directly. I have not loved Kansas City's process in the offseason at all the past couple years. I think they've completely lost. This is a team that won so much, and so you can't blame them for having the same offseason strategy, every single year. It is what it is. I think Denver is maybe a first-round receiver, whether it's a Lemon or a Carnell Tate. I think they are truly a first-round receiver away, hitting on this first-round receiver away from comfortably taking over that division. And that's not to say like Kansas City can't, come back and win the division. They could win the division next year, and nobody would bat an eye. But they are maybe one more separator, in the slot at the wide receiver position at the Z or the Y from being a offense that's just, and especially like if they can find a running back too. This is a loaded running back free agent class. I mean, we're talking Rico Dowdle, Breece Hall, Rashad White. Get any of these guys and draft a receiver and hit. I think they win that division, and I think they probably win it. I don't want to say comfortably because LA is a good team. Kansas City is a good team. I don't think you can ever comfortably win that division. But as comfortable as you can get, I mean, they have a 2.5 game lead right now, and I think that's kind of what it could look like.
I totally agree. I think the Chiefs are bound to bounce back next year. I mean, they'll probably still sneak their way into the playoffs this year, and who knows, they might win the AFC because it's the Chiefs. Like, it's just ridiculous at this point. I think they'll bounce back next year, but yeah, like I said, I think this is the worst we're going to see the Broncos for the next couple of years, especially their offense. And I think if they, like you said, hit on a wide receiver in the first or second round and manage to replace J.K. Dobbins to a point where you're comfortable, and then you obviously have to rely on the development of Bo Nix, the development of R.J. Harvey, Troy Franklin, all their young weapons and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I see no reason why they're not just kind of not running away with it, because like you said, there's two other playoff teams in that division, potential playoff teams in that division, but kind of just
fully healthy. LA is absolutely up there. Their O-line is maybe one of the worst units I've ever seen. So
it's like as comfortable as you can in that division. I think I'm right there with you. I think the Broncos are set up perfectly.
Yeah, and this is a perfect transition into our next team, because the Patriots, the next team we're going to talk about, are in a very similar situation in their division in the win-loss column. Buffalo has ran that division for the last 5 or so years, and the Patriots have kind of been a bottom feeder. They were under horrible front office management, horrible coaching for years and years and years. Brought Vrabel in the offseason, had what I think was a pretty good draft. We'll still see. And they have just completely taken over that division. Now, it isn't as big of a gap as Denver to Kansas City is. Buffalo can still win that division, but with the head-to-head with New England, they're another team that I think is in as good of a situation as anyone. And when you get a franchise quarterback, that is the hardest thing to do in this sport. It is damn near impossible. When you get a guy like Drake May, who, in my opinion, is the clear best quarterback out of that draft class, can do literally anything on the football field, makes any throw, tough as hell. Like, he has that Justin Herbert gene where he can get hit in a way that snaps both of his legs and he would get right back up. Super uber tough, super talented. He is making that roster look and play way better than it actually is. This is a team on paper that should not be winning a division. Just shouldn't be. No way around it. I don't love Buffalo's roster. They're a better roster than New England is, just straight up. But Drake May is playing awesome football. Vrabel has these guys executing at a high level. There's margins in this game, right? You might think a team is more talented than another team, but if you can't execute on the margins, 2-minute situations, red zone situations, special teams, penalties, you can't execute at that, you're not going to win. The Patriots are doing that at an incredibly high level. What do you think about the Patriots, not just right now, but in the future?
I think that's like with the Broncos. I think they should be the team to beat in that division. I do think in the AFC East, I think it's going to ping pong back and forth between the Bills and the Patriots. I think with the Patriots, the reason I think they have a slightly better situation than the Broncos is also a great defense, not quite as great. Also some good young weapons, Travion Henderson, some wide receivers that they drafted the last couple of years. I think Drake May is awesome. I think Drake May is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL already, which is why I have them above Broncos. I think he's just quite a bit better than Bo Nix.
He's way better, and you can make an argument that he is the third best quarterback in football as it stands right now. Like, I mean, I'd definitely go Stafford as my MVP
Yeah.
right now. I think he's playing at a level that's just, I mean, it's
Yeah.
otherworldly. And I don't want to sound biased, but Patrick Mahomes is having a phenomenal season that is getting ruined by drops that have turned into interceptions.
Oh no, I hear you. I have to watch. I had to watch the Packers versus the Giants, and Romeo Doubs dropped 3 passes, and Jordan Love threw, I believe, 11 incompletions, 7 of them were drops, and ruined one of the best quarterback games I've ever seen. So I get what you're saying with the whole drop passes into interceptions and stuff like that. No, I've watched Patrick Mahomes this year, and as annoying as it is to listen to Tony Romo or Greg Olson or Chris Collinsworth talk about Patrick Mahomes, like he is playing very well. Not the 2018 or the 2022 Mahomes that we watched, but he also doesn't have the 2018 and 2022 Travis Kelce along with Tyreek Hill and all that. So all things considered, he's playing very well. I think Drake May is up there with. I think right now you got Matthew Stafford, just the way he's playing this year, and then you have to just put by default Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Lamar up there as well. You just have to put those guys up there. I think right after that, you can put Drake May right there.
You're saying I'd go as far to say as like if Drake May can lead this Patriots team to a playoff win or two, you know, I don't want to say I'm ready to put him in front of Burrow because I think Burrow is going to, like, statistically, he trumps over a lot of quarterbacks that are ahead of him. He will throw for more yards and more touchdowns. A byproduct of that is because his defense has been one of the worst historically ever for the past, like, 3 years now, ever since the Super Bowl run. But Drake May can easily play himself into that top 4. You know, the big 4 that we always talk about. He can easily cement himself in there, in my opinion. Like, after I guess this is the second season, but he's just playing the game at a level that's so much higher than his classmates in his draft class. He's not in a better situation than these guys, man. Like, Caleb Williams, objectively better situation. Like, almost at every single position. Better offensive line, better weapons, better run game. It doesn't matter. Drake May is so good, and that's kind of why we have the Patriots up here, because I think if you have one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football, you're going to be competitive every single year, no matter what.
The best part is he's in the second year. He's got this year 2 more years on his rookie contract plus his 5th year option. So it's like you have 3 more years of Drake May before his massive contract that he's bound to get is going to hit in, which is why you're in the spot that you are. You can afford to go grab journeyman wide receivers like Stephon Diggs, and it doesn't matter because you have so much cap space, and you can go do that for the next 3 years, along with just drafting. If you draft well, which I anticipate a team led by Mike Vrabel to just have good process everywhere. I think he's arguably the best coach in football right now. I think it's him and McVay, and I think Vrabel just will have a team just locked in sync, gonna make good decisions in the draft, gonna make good decisions on the field. So that Vrabel plus Drake May is why I think that they're in honestly the best situation in football ahead of the team we're going to talk about next. But they have a great defense, great young defense. They have Drake May, they have Mike Vrabel. The only thing they're really missing is, they could shore up the offensive line a little bit. It definitely could use some work.
They do need it. They definitely need more offensive line.
And then some younger wide receivers that are, they have like Kayshon Boutte right now.
I love
he's playing really well. I think he can be a really good complement to a wide receiver, to another boundary wide receiver. I think he can be your second boundary wide receiver. And I think Douglas is a fine slot. I don't think you need to. It's not a necessity to go out and replace him immediately. I think he's fine. But I think if you go get like a true number 1 and then have Douglas and Boutte and Hunter Henry at tight end and just have those guys as compliments, I think that they, just like the Broncos, there's no ceiling. They can just be as good as they want to be.
Look, they are the A.J. Brown team for me. It has to be them. If it's going to be anybody. If he does get moved, I don't think he gets traded. I'm kind of like, I err on the side of nothing ever happens, and think he gets moved. But if he were to get moved, I think it's got to be New England. I mean, he is the perfect archetype. Has the connection with Vrabel. It all just makes sense. It all makes sense. They are that, and then offensive lineman here and offensive lineman there. Maybe you find a younger option at tight end, but like they're right there. I like Travion Henderson as much as anybody in this draft circuit. Right? I think he was running back 3 for me.
I like Henderson a good bit. I like pretty much everyone on the team. They're run incredibly well. They have a great roster. I think they're going to make a good decision. I think they're going to put either a first or second round wide receiver on this team next year, and I think they might even go spend some money that they are going to have on maybe another wide receiver, and then maybe another pass rusher, which I think their pass rush might be the weakest part of their defense, which isn't saying it's weak, because I mean their pass rush is still fine, but I think that's the one spot on the D line that I think you could shore up a little bit and get yourself a guy who can go out there and get you 12 sacks a year with some decent pressure rates.
They have good players, but like you said, I think they are missing that just dude off the edge. Because you got Christian Barmore, you got Milton Williams, you got Harold Landry. These are good. These are fine players, and Christian Barmore is better than a fine player. He's an awesome player, and I think Milton Williams, for what his role is,
he's awesome. The interior, I agree.
I do think they're missing, like, I'm trying to accumulate it to like this draft class. I do think they're missing a guy like Arvo Reese. A guy like Ruben Bain, someone who can play all 9 slots in the defensive line. You know, I do think they're missing that guy. But like we just talked about, other than that, I mean, they're right there. They're right
holes.
there.
They have no glare. I think they're the only team in the NFL without like a glaring hole on their roster. Like their wide receiver room, not great, but it's fine. Like not a glaring hole. Their offensive line, way better than anyone thought it would be this year. It's not great, but it's way better than anyone thought.
We'll see what it looks like with Will Campbell going on IR.
Yeah, that might get a little shaky, but
yeah, that's tough. I mean, that's hard to rebound. He wasn't having a phenomenal year anyways, but that's your top 5 pick left tackle. You know, like that's a huge loss. I don't know if they have at backup left tackle right now, but that's a huge loss. I mean, he needs those reps. You're going to be a playoff team this year. He needs to play. But I mean, we have talked about the Patriots. We can transition to another team that is incredibly well coached, the best coached team in football, in my opinion. Uber talented. I mean, just we think Drake May is making the New England situation look better than it is. The Rams, offensively and frankly defensively, I think have the best environment to be in the entire National Football League. And I say that not because they're playing well right now, but because they are built for the future as well. They have a top 15 pick right now, as it stands. It might even be top 10. I have not looked
I don't know what the Falcons' record is off the top of my head, but I know it's not good. I would.
They are in a prime position to take a quarterback this year or take a quarterback next year. You know, like
just double up on
them. Maybe you can move this first for a chance at a better first next year. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe you just bite the bullet, say we're going to move up from 10 and 28 or 29, whatever they finish with, to like 5, and we'll go ahead and take Mendoza or Moore, whoever they take. They are, in my opinion, the best situation in football, and maybe the best situation we've ever seen. They have the chance to... I'm just going to put it blunt. They have a chance to be a dynasty if they hit on quarterback. Yeah. Like, straight up. They're good literally everywhere else. Not just good. They're great everywhere else.
They're awesome. The one hiccup I had with putting them number 1 over the Patriots is Matt Stafford is, 37? Drake? Yeah, so...
Yes. Mine is based on...
Yeah, 100%. Like if they hit on quarterback, 100% they move into number 1 immediately. They are set up at every single position. Bunch of young defensive linemen, awesome. They bunch of good young corners. They managed to turn around Emmanuel Forbes' career that looked like it was going.
He's playing.
Yeah, it looked like it was going absolutely nowhere, and then he just winds up on the Rams and ends up being awesome. I guess it helps to play to the scheme of the guy that is on your team. having him
Yeah.
sit in a
Yeah.
cover 3 like he did in college and like he excelled at in college would be better than trying to make him a press man corner like Washington did.
Manning him up against
Yeah.
AJ Brown for an
Mhm.
entire game. It's like I mean,
Yep.
what were you doing?
And that I think goes to show how well coached they are. Sean McVay, obviously, probably the best offensive mind in football, one of the best offensive minds we've ever seen.
Yeah.
They're coached well everywhere else as well. Their secondary is great. Their linebacker room is great. Their defensive line is awesome. Puka Nacua goes without saying. They have Devontae Adams for however long they have Devontae Adams. Doesn't really matter because he's just going to be good until he decides.
I mean, he'll be here this year, and he'll be
He's just
there
going to
next
be
year.
as good as he wants to be until he retires. And like you'll be able to replace him whenever you feel like it. I mean, any single player in football will look good as a wide receiver too next to Puka because Puka's just that good.
Yeah.
He's
different.
At worst right now the second best wide receiver in the NFL just according to this season.
Yeah.
Just awesome. And I mean
it's him or JSN. I mean, that's who you're arguing
between those two.
point.
And their offensive line also great. I don't think I'm pretty negative towards Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. I'm not a fan of Kyron Williams as a runner. I think he's actually quite a bad runner. I think he's a great pass blocker, which I think is the biggest reason he's still getting reps because he is watching him pass block is very fun to watch, which is why he doesn't catch passes anymore because he used to be a big time pass catcher and then he's so good at pass blocking they just decided to keep him in. I don't think he's a great runner. I don't like Blake Corum very much, but I think running back is I think running back is the easiest position to fix in one offseason. I think running back's the easiest position to just throw a guy in and grab him off the street and it's fine behind that offensive line. I mean, hell, you could go back there and average like 4 yards a carry behind that offensive line. They're just awesome everywhere. And if the Falcons pick that they have this year manages to land them a top 10 pick and they can grab, like you said, Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza, just any quarterback, and he ends up being good, this team is going to run football for however long they want to.
Yeah, it'll look identical to what the Chiefs just did the past decade, pretty much. All right, not a little bit. If you hit and I'm not saying you don't have to hit like a Patrick Mahomes level hit, but if you get a top 11-ish quarterback in football out of this pick, and then with the young guys you have on this team already, we sometimes forget how young Puka Nacua is. Dude, he's going to run this league for the next 10 years. He's going to be the best receiver in the league or one of the best every single year for the next decade.
Their situation right now is so good. It's similar to the Broncos that, like we said, but we don't think Bo Nix is anything special. We think he's a solid quarterback. They don't need anything special at quarterback. They don't Matt Stafford, obviously great quarterback, going to be a Hall of Famer, should be a Hall of Famer, should be the front runner for MVP this year. But he's always been great, but he's never been like the top echelon of quarterback until this year. Like he's had years where he was a top, like statistically, bunch of yards, especially in Detroit, bunch of yards, bunch of touchdowns because they're playing from behind because he played in Detroit, who had a bunch of bad defenses. And so he put up a bunch of numbers, which no disrespect to him, you do what you got to do. You got to keep your team in games. But I don't think when we're talking about Matt Stafford, especially as old as he is right now, we were never talking to him in the likes of Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, like in that. So we're talking about a guy who for the majority of his career was probably, what would you say, a top anywhere from 5 to 10 quarterback for most of his career?
I think I valued him a little bit more than like casual fans would. You'd see the win-loss record in Detroit and you'd be like, this guy doesn't elevate his team. What if you watch him, you're just like, this is the most physically gifted thrower of the football that we may have ever seen. With his eyes and his shoulder manipulation and the footwork and the release, it's absolute teach tape. When you're showing someone the quarterback position, you turn on Matthew
one of the
Stafford.
smartest players to ever play the position, and that just right now it's like he's playing great out of his mind, awesome, but they're dominating with him right now playing like this. He could take a step back and not even be the MVP frontrunner. He could be in the tier of like the Dak Prescott. No, no disrespect to Dak, but like in the Dak Prescott tier where he's like in the like 7 to 10 range of quarterbacks, and they would still be, I think they would still be dominating teams.
Yeah.
So that's why you just, if a rookie quarterback
Here's how
can just be average or slightly above average, I just don't see any team being as consistently dominant as they will be if that happens.
Dude, here's how good they are. Their biggest weakness on their roster by a substantial margin is tight end. That is the worst position on their roster. And even then, that's like that. Would you be shocked if, come late April, they have a good enough pick to take a quarterback, and then they just take Kenyon Sadiq with their second first-round pick, and then it's like, well, this team is just amazing.
Yeah, and
then there's no flaw, there's no hole.
And even with tight end, I mean, Higbee is, he's old, he's your fine blocking tight end, but
yeah,
rookie tight ends typically take a while to do anything in the NFL. I mean, look at Njoku, look at Evan Ingram. Just it takes a while because you're practically learning two positions. You have to learn how to be an offensive lineman, then you have to learn how to be a slot wide receiver. So you're learning two different things. So it takes a while sometimes. Like maybe Terrence Ferguson. Terrence Ferguson is good. Maybe he ends up being good, and then they don't even have to waste capital on another tight end.
I think we've just been spoiled with we saw Kyle Pitts a couple years ago, right? We saw Brock Bowers, last year. We've seen, even to a smaller extent, Oronde Gadsden this year. It's fallen off a little bit, but you have the type of games that he had. I mean, it's not nothing, right? We've just become spoiled, I think, at the tight end position. Tyler Warren this year, another good example. He's not producing like crazy. I've watched the all-22 of basically every Colts game that they've played. He is the focal point of their offense. He's what they plays for outside of.
I think other than Brock Bowers when he's healthy, which he hasn't been much this year, and Tucker Kraft when he's healthy, which he just tore his ACL. I don't think there's a better tight end in football right now. George Kittle when he's healthy obviously is up there as well. I think it's those four, and then I think and Trey McBride as well. So I think it's those five. You can kind of order it however you'd like. It just depends what you value. Like if you value a rack guy, it's Tucker Kraft. If you value a guy who can block the piss out of somebody, slip out, catch a ball, go for 30 yards, then you got your George Kittles. If you want just a route technician that's going to go catch you 9 passes for 90 yards, it's your Trey McBride. And then if you want a guy that does it all, it's Tyler Warren. He just great football player.
He does everything. I don't know if he'll break any he's not a guy who's going to put people in body bags like Brock Bowers does. He will kill you silently on the football field. It's a 13-yard pass here. It's a hitch here. It's a block here that creates a big run. It's kind of like George Kittle. I don't think George Kittle is a super loud football player, but he's he's been one of the most valuable players at his position since he entered the league. And it's very soft. It's very quiet. But that's just what he is. Yeah. Hard to game plan against. As a defensive coordinator, he gives you nightmares, man. It's hard to stop. That's kind of what we're talking about with the Rams. I don't think you need a first-round tight end. I think with that offense, you need to have 2 receivers at all times that are a consistent man beater and a consistent zone beater. And then your tight end just has to be
he has to know what they're doing. The reason it works with Higbee is because he just knows he's old enough. He's been around. He's played with Stafford long enough. He knows what Stafford's thinking. So it's like, as much as it sucks, and I had Trey McBride on my dynasty teams his rookie year, and I loved Ben Sinnott coming out of college. And as much as it sucks, as much as it is horrible to watch, it's Zach Ertz. They know what their quarterback's thinking. They go to exactly where their quarterback wants them to go, and they sit in the zone. They catch the football. They block when they need to.
Think about Kelsey, man. Think about Kelsey too. He's not a top 40 athlete at the tight end position right now. There are backups better than him as an athlete, but he's smart. He understands coverages. And him and his quarterback have a chemistry that is unmatched. So that's all you need. I mean, I'm not saying all you need is a Travis Kelce, but I'm saying all you need is like what you said, someone who knows what they're doing, understands the scheme. they're just so good, man. They're so good, and we haven't even mentioned the defense like in depth. Jared Verse, Braden Fiskey, Byron
Oh, yeah.
Young, like Kobe Durant's a good player. Uh, Emmanuel Forbes, like we talked about, Cam Kinchins is really breaking out for them. They we kind of had a conversation earlier, a little short conversation about why they ever traded Ernest Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's like their position on defense they need right now, Mike linebacker. But like, do you really need linebackers that are like top 5 at their position when you have Jared Verse off the edge, Byron Young, Braden Fiskey? Like this team is just incredible.
Yeah, you don't
man.
have
like there's
quarterbacks don't have time to get to their second and third read, which is why I think Emmanuel Forbes is breaking out. It's like he's in a zone, in a scheme that he's comfortable with, much more zone than what was run in Washington, and he's pretty much playing like a free safety, and he can gamble. He's allowed to gamble now. He's allowed to break on routes earlier. He's allowed to not hunt for interceptions, but he could because the pass rush gets there. Like in Washington, he because his college thing was the reason he got drafted over Christian Gonzalez, which yeah, I'm not even going to address.
Christian Gonzalez is fucking
I
awesome.
don't want to even talk about Ron Rivera or the damage that he did to the NFL. But his reason that they drafted Emmanuel Forbes over him was because he was a ball hawk. He got interceptions, and I think part of that when I was watching him. When I was watching him, it was like he hunted for him, like he was like looking for them. Well, now, when you have 2 awesome pass rushers and a good interior pass rusher, you can because you're not. If you get beat deep, the quarterback's already on his back, so it doesn't matter. So it's like just playing to their players' strengths, and having a good enough roster to hide their weaknesses.
Yeah, and we can transition into our worst situations because we're almost an hour in and we haven't even talked about them. So who do you want to talk about first, man? Let's just for our teams that we're talking about, the 3 worst situations. We mentioned them in the opener, the Falcons. Just goes without saying.
That might have to be something to close with. Good.
Shout out Brett, man. Shout out Brett. I don't know how you do it, man. And the Raiders, that's our other team. And who was the Dolphins?
Yep.
So Falcons, Raiders, Dolphins is who we came up with. Do you want to start with the Dolphins? Because I think they're in the best situation.
I would agree. So yeah, we can start with the Dolphins, I think.
Okay. So my opinion on the Dolphins is I think their front office and their coaching staff are the most misaligned in the National Football League. I think the guys that they draft do not fit what they are trying to run on the football field. And I say that because I liked Kenneth Grant as a player. I think he was a very, very good interior defensive lineman at Michigan. He fits nothing with what they do defensively. And it shows, man. He's having a horrific rookie season. I don't think he's a bad player. I think if you use him as a straight-up nose tackle that can still get after the passer in 3rd and long scenarios, like I think he can be a good player. But it's a microcosm of bad contracts, Tua Tagovailoa, bad draft picks, like, and they hit on Chop Robinson. I'm not saying that they're 0 for 100. They make good picks occasionally, but they're a team that is in cap hell with a bad quarterback, but not bad enough to be picking 101, 102, right? Like, they beat the Bills this year. I could pull up all their wins, but it'd be terrible podcasting because it would take a minute. They're in an awful situation, and this is the one where I'm like, I don't know what they do. I have no idea what they do. I don't know where they go. If I were their GM, I'd like where do you even start?
It's a lot like it's like a worse version of the Miami Heat for the past couple of years, if anyone watches basketball.
Yeah.
But
that is Miami.
Yeah, they're struggling right now. They are struggling.
I'm sorry.
I heart goes out to all of you.
Yeah, I'm kidding, man. And the Marlins, dude. Oh my god. What do y'all even do down there?
Party. I don't know what I do. I genuinely don't know what I do. Like you were talking about with the Kenneth Grant thing. I think Kenneth Grant's going to be a fine player. I think if you're going to draft an interior defensive lineman, especially one that specializes in what he specializes in, which is eating up blockers, stuffing the run so that you shouldn't be able to run the ball up the middle. If you're going to do that, that's fine. You have to have guys around him that can help with that. You have Chop Robinson. You have before the trade deadline, you had Jalen Phillips, and those two guys, as great of players as they are, they excel in speed rushing the passer from the outside. When you have a interior defensive lineman that is eating up blocks for the linebackers and the other defensive linemen to come in and fill and make a play in the run game, not having a single other like great run stopper in your front seven, it makes no sense. Because
right.
You are getting these blockers, and he's taking this attention, and there's no one to fill because their linebacker play is poor.
Yeah.
Chop Robinson and before the trade deadline, Jalen Phillips, they weren't like run stuffers. That's not what they did. So then you just had this guy eating all these blocks, and then there's these massive holes in the run game, and people can just do whatever the hell they want running the ball. And so it's like when they draft, when I see them draft, it seems like they don't really have a plan. It seems like they get their plan from like a guy who plays Madden. Like, oh, we don't have any run stuffers. Let's go grab this run stuffing D lineman and then give him zero help outside of that whatsoever. Oh, we don't have a quick scat back speedster running back. Let's go get Devon Achane and then not have the offensive line to, like, he averaged 8 yards a carry his rookie year, and then last year it was down under 4.
He could be in the right situation. He could be.
He's awesome. He's awesome, and it's like they have needs, and everyone can see what their needs are, and they're like addressing these needs, but they're doing it in a way it's like, oh, I don't have this, let me go grab one. I don't have this, let me go grab one, and then it's like, well, you still suck at what you're trying to address here. If you're going to address something, you need to address it in bulk. You need to, like, if you,
I really, at the start of this whole thing with Miami, them starting to be competitive, I did love the way they built their offense. I thought they did it in a way that made a lot of sense. Like, you think Tua has limitations athletically. Cool. Go trade for Tyreek Hill in his prime. Draft Jalen Waddle. You know, like, that was kind of it for their weapons. I mean, you had Jonnu Smith, but, like I liked the way they built their roster. And it feels like from that point, from, like, 2023 to now, it's just been, like, everyone just seems lost. And it truly is one of those things where, like, you're probably staring down the barrel of like a 3-year rebuild, strictly because you have a quarterback on the contract that he's on. If you want to trade him, you're giving up.
You're giving up capital to just get him off your books, and
and
that's on like I mean that's like almost like pretty much a 0% chance of someone taking that on. I think.
No like
so, it's like
what team would even consider that?
I know nobody. There's nobody that should consider that. That they are in a horrible position. They're in purgatory. They're in hell. They don't. And the biggest problem is they don't have a lot of young talent. They have Jalen Waddle, who's I think just turned 27, if I remember correctly. So he's not old, but he's not like you have this 24-year-old wide receiver that you can take time to build around. It's like assuming that you're going to suck for the next 2 years, which I think is putting it lightly. Like you're not going to be worth a damn until at least he's 29. So it's like, he's not that young. Devon Achane, young running back, small running back. So he's got a short shelf life more than likely, especially with the hits that he's taking behind that offensive line. It's like, so those are your two like big young weapons. I mean, I like Malik Washington. I like him as a slot, but he's not turning any tables. He's not like making anyone turn their head. Like he's just a fine slot receiver. They don't really. Chop Robinson, I think, is a great player. Kenneth Grant having a rough season, but I think he's going to be fine. They just don't have a lot of young talent. And I think
completely void of talent, and that's what made their trade deadline made no sense whatsoever. You traded the most valuable asset you have, Jalen Phillips, and you got a third for him. right? But you're still sitting on Minkah Fitzpatrick. You're still sitting on Bradley Chubb. You're still sitting on Jalen Waddle. Like, this thing is, when this thing is competitive again, these guys aren't going to be in the NFL, let alone on your roster.
It's
Bradley Chubb, by the time the Dolphins are competitive again, 3 to 4 years from now, he's out of the NFL.
Yeah, that or he's like making his runs around the NFL as like a rotational like fourth pass rusher.
Yeah, he's on his Von Miller arc at this current stage. Like, he's gonna get passed around on vet minimum deals for the rest of his.
And I think the roster construction around their offense is not great anymore, but it's fun. Like, I understand what they were trying to do with like the Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon A. All that stuff. Like, I understand.
Yeah. There was an actual vision
but their
there.
Defense, what have they been doing with their defense? Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb were fine, but their secondary, they haven't had a good secondary in as long as I can remember. They haven't had a good corner in forever, and they keep getting these washed up has-beens in their secondary, and they get fried. And every year, it's clockwork. The reason they lost
their cornerback one is Jack.
Yeah, it's
Jones.
Like it honestly frustrates me to just like talk about this team.
I should shout out Zach Sealer is an awesome player. He's a very good defensive lineman, and he's a very good defensive lineman. And they extended him. I liked that move. I think that was good process, and I do think that makes the Kenneth Grant pick make a little bit more sense because they play off each other pretty well. But like you said, when you have Chop Robinson, who's more of a third down specialist, and you have two just absolutely nobodies at this point off the edge, just doesn't like. Maybe they're building towards something and it's hard to see it right now, but it's hard to see it right now. I'm not seeing it. I have to see more. As of right now, it's a terrible situation. We can move on. We can stop talking about the Dolphins. We can move on to the Raiders and finish with the Falcons if you're cool with that. The Raiders are in a similar situation to Miami. You have a quarterback making a lot of money who is hard to do, but he's way worse than Tua, which is, I don't know how that's like. He makes Tua look like a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say he's the worst quarterback in the NFL amongst the 32 starters.
Yes, that starts. Yes,
I don't think.
Like I'd probably comfortably take Jacoby Brissett.
I think Jacoby Brissett over him. Jacoby Brissett,
I'd take him.
His numbers are a little misleading because he is playing from behind because he's throwing bad interceptions, making bad plays, putting his team behind, and getting a bunch of passing yards and touchdowns. That being said, Geno Smith does the same thing, except he does not accumulate stats afterwards. He just sucks for 4 quarters.
He doesn't actually like throw the ball.
Yeah, no, he just sucks for 4 quarters every single week.
Yeah, like I want to give him like a little bit of leeway. He is behind an absolutely horrific offensive line, a rookie running back that I do think is going to be really good. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Genty's going to be awesome, but no running back in the NFL can play behind that offensive line because this is a very similar offensive line to when they had Jacobs, and then you watch Jacobs go to Green Bay, and you know what he's done now. It's a bad roster that just so happens to have Brock Bowers on it. And Max Crosby on it. You essentially have the exact same player on offense and defense, and absolutely nothing. I guess you have too.
This is why everyone who knows me, you can attest to this. Everyone that I've ever talked to about football knows that I am the most like adamant against drafting a running back in the first round. Like I am I think it is the dumbest thing that GMs do.
It should have just been Membu, man. Yeah, he is so awesome.
It was a layup. It was a layup pick, and I think it is.
Took Josh Simmons right there.
It is consistently the dumbest thing that teams do every single year. I think there's cases where it's fine. Like Bijan Robinson. Yes, Bijan Robinson was a once-in-a-decade type talent at running back.
Yeah.
I don't think the Falcons should have been the team to do it. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But guys like that, it's fine. Yeah. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs ended up working out for the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs is the one first-round running back where I think, looking back, like the team, obviously the Falcons are happy they have Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Best running back in football, bar none. He is almost to the point like he's making them win games single-handedly because,
Mhm.
sorry, Falcons fans, Michael Penix is not good. The defense has been playing good this year. The defense has been pretty solid this year, which is the first time it's
Yeah,
been pretty solid in a while.
I think, and we'll talk about this more when we get to the Falcons. I do think they hit on both their first rounders this year, Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. He's not a big James Pierce Jr. guy. He's been really good. They've been really good. Their defense has been good because of that. But with the Raiders, like, what would you say is like the biggest strength on their team? Do they like even really have one? Like, I guess you'd say tight end.
Bowers and Crosby. Bowers and Crosby, and they don't have strengths anywhere else, especially after. I mean, they had to move Myers. You had to trade him, and so they did. They don't have any wide receivers that would be. They don't have any wide receivers that would be a top 3 wide receiver on like a good portion of teams. I think
they have the worst wide receiver room in football.
By a mile.
I think
Trey Tucker's fine.
Dude, that's like your wide receiver 4.
Yeah.
Like I like he'll put up stats
because he has to. Because someone's got to do it.
Yeah, he has literally no other option.
Thornton, I think, is fine for what you drafted him to be. You drafted him in the 6th round to go be a field stretcher. I think that's what he is.
He does, yeah.
Jack Besh, I'm actually very disappointed in. I wasn't a huge Besh guy. I had a lot of my friends were pretty big fans of Besh. I thought he was going to be fine. Then when he went to the Raiders, they're void of talent at the wide receiver position. I think he should have a decent rookie year.
He should have been a guy that goes to Cincinnati. A team that has one or two like phenomenal weapons and he can play off that. The
problem with him was he was behind Myers, which is fine. I'd sit for a year behind Myers. Like, Myers is a good slot receiver. Problem is now Myers is gone, and Jack Besh still sucks. So just
that's the one team where it's like, with the Dolphins, I think I can count on them because they're in Miami. They can get guys to come to Miami. If you really, really wanted to, you can overpay and get people in Miami. And I don't exactly know how their cap situation looks right now. I reckon it looks better because they didn't have to extend Jalen Phillips. But with the Raiders, it's like, this is a team that you fucked up the offseason so bad with the Geno trade. And I was like, hands up, I thought he'd be a good player. Like, I really genuinely thought the film would transfer from Seattle to Vegas. I thought he'd put up decent stats. I didn't think they'd win the division or even really come close, but I thought they'd be a 8-9 like pesky team that can play spoiler to somebody. Not close to that. They are years away from being that pesky team, let alone a playoff contender.
Yeah, I thought they would just. Oh, sorry. I just thought, going into the season, I was actually really high on the Raiders. I did have them finishing last in the division, but I had them being like, I said multiple times, and I hate to admit this on the podcast for everyone to see or hear, I said that they were going to be the best 7-10 team there ever was. Because I thought
it's more of a byproduct of their division.
That's what I was like. They're going to win 7 games because they have to play this brutal schedule in their division. But I think the offense is going to be really good. I think the offensive line will be good enough to keep Geno upright. He's got Bowers. He's got Myers. They have Genty. I think the offense will be good enough. I think it'll be an average unit. And then I was stupid and believed that the defense would be also about average. So I thought they'd be average kind of on both sides of the ball, and they would just happen to win 7 games because they had a rough schedule. That was a horrible take in hindsight, and they suck, and they don't have anything to look fondly of. They got Brock Bowers, they have Ashton Genty, and they have a whole lot of nothing else.
Yeah, I'm kind of on like I think it's cool when players stay with one team their whole career. I do think that's pretty sick when that happens. This team is in such a bad spot. I know they extended Crosby. You might have to move him for the sake of, you need more draft picks every single year. And you have nobody else that you can trade that would get you the kind of draft picks that you would want. Could this team, if they traded Max Crosby, and I understand, ideally you don't want to trade a guy like Max Crosby because when you're drafting, you're looking for a guy like that.
Yeah.
But when you're this devoid of talent, when you have nothing in the secondary, nothing in the linebackers. You're giving up on Tyree Wilson, complete bust. You have nothing on the defensive line outside of Max Crosby. You have Colton Miller on the offensive line and Jackson Powers Johnson if they ever play him at center, and that's it. This team is just so devoid of talent, and I don't trust them to draft at all. I don't trust them to make the right picks at all whatsoever.
Yeah,
They have never proven to me that they can do that. I think the Genty pick was a bad pick, just for the sake of I think he's going to be a good player, but you could have had Membu, you could have had Simmons, you could have had a number of pass rushers. You could have did so many other things, but you went Genty there.
That was,
and
I think,
bad prospect.
I think that was pretty easily the worst pick of the first round. I think Genty's going to be awesome. I think Genty could go on to have a Hall of Fame-esque career, and I still think it's going to be a bad pick.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier with the whole running backs thing, Saquon Barkley was a bad pick for the Giants, and I don't think anyone can tell me otherwise and give me a legitimate reason otherwise. And he's a Hall of Fame talent.
Look at it. Yeah, look at it right now. He put up good years, but it amounted to nothing because you couldn't hit at any other position anywhere else.
You wasted that capital on a running back that early. If you're bad enough to pick that early, you should not be taking a luxury position. That has been my thought process on it forever, and it will never change.
This is why I liked the Hampton pick for the Chargers, because you're taking him in the mid-20s or early 20s, wherever they took him. That's a fine spot, especially for a guy like Hampton, who, in my opinion, was closer to Genty than anyone else was.
Yeah, no, I was perfectly fine with the Hampton pick. I mean, if I was them, I would have probably gone somewhere else just because I think they have a couple other bigger needs and stuff. But I was fine with the Hampton pick. The Jahmyr Gibbs pick was questioning at the time with the Lions a couple years ago. Ended up being awesome for them because they are good at everything right now. I mean, they have some holes defensively, but who cares? Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome. But other than Jahmyr Gibbs, what first-round running back in the last, handful of years, can you say definitively was a great pick for that team? Saquon Barkley, great player. Hall of Fame-esque player. Not a good pick for the Giants. Christian McCaffrey, Hall of Fame player, probably Hall of Fame lock. Bad pick for the Panthers. Bijan Robinson, Hall of Fame type player. It might be too early to tell, but probably a bad pick for the Falcons because they just can't. They have a little bit of talent,
I'd be looking at the Falcons differently if they if they messed up the Penix pick, which they did, but if they had just done that and not the Kirk Cousins thing, I wouldn't look at them. I mean, they wouldn't be on this list right now if they just. You fuck up you draft a bust quarterback. It's
and you still have. It's like they have talent. So when we talk about the Falcons fans don't kill us. You guys are the most talented team of the three that we're going to talk about by a lot. Drake London, great player. Bijan Robinson, great player. Offensive line is actually very good. The defense has been very solid this year. It sucks that Billy Bowman just tore his Achilles, but he was looking like a great pick. The secondary in general was having a great season. Honestly, the Falcons are a solid team that's a quarterback and maybe a weapon away. The reason we're going to dunk on them is because of their fumbling of Kirk Cousins and their coaching situation and the fact that they don't have a first-round pick this year and stuff like that. But great team. It's just to take a running back in the first round and it to be worth it, you have to be good almost everywhere else. It is a luxury. Even free agents, if you're going to go sign a big name free agent running back, it is a luxury to spend money on that. I think when the Packers, Eagles, and Ravens did it, this because the Ravens had just come off a year where they had the best defense in the NFL. The Eagles had just come off a year where they didn't make the They made the Super Bowl the year before, but they had just come off of making the Super Bowl and then having another 13-win season, and they didn't really have any glaring holes. So here comes Saquon, Green Bay.
Look what those moves did to those teams. Elevated them.
Running backs are meant to elevate an already good team using capital, especially when you suck enough to draft that high. You should not be using it on a running back, and I'll stand by that until one of these picks proves me wrong, until one of these early running backs ends up being beneficial enough to the team that drafts them, and not more valuable to a team that they find themselves on later.
And we're gonna have this conversation in April when someone takes Jeremiah Love in the top 10. I love I love him. He's awesome. He is he is the best athlete at that position since Bijan Robinson. Someone who doesn't need a run, or I shouldn't say doesn't need a running back. Someone who needs other positions more is going to take
and I have a feeling it's going to be Washington. I have a few friends that are Washington fans, and some of them are under the impression that they should draft Jeremiah Love, and others are on board with me. And it's like they're going to do it, and they suck at a lot of it. And if they do it, it might be worse than it might be the worst spot. It might be worse than the Raiders, because the Raiders, they suck, but they're not like 95 years old everywhere. The Commanders have JAYDEN Daniels, who's
we could have put the
Commanders could have been here. Too, they have JAYDEN Daniels, which is why they aren't here. They have JAYDEN Daniels, which is why they aren't here. But they're old as hell everywhere else. And it's not like they're old, have a couple years left, and aren't bad. They suck. They're old and they suck. Yeah. Zach Ertz is toast. Deebo Samuels is fine, but he's getting towards toast. But
they took, and this will be the last thing we say about the Commanders before we talk about the Falcons more. They took, and I'm gonna say this because Josh Simmons is one of the best left tackles in all of football. They took Josh Connerly over Josh Simmons. One pick before Josh Simmons. Now, I'm not even saying this to be biased. If you go find any chart that records what a tackle does on an island, which I think is the best way to isolate just like how good a tackle is separate from scheme. Josh Simmons is incredible. He's awesome. He's going to be an all-pro in 2, 3, 4 years down the line. They took Josh Connerly over him. Just bad process, in my opinion. Like, I'm not the best scout in the world. Like, I have my misses, but I have my hits too. And that was a horrific miss. Yeah. And we can transition to the Falcons and talk about horrific misses, because they just recently had a horrific miss at the most important position in the National Football League. Where do you think they go from here at the quarterback position, or really just in general? Because like you said, they are talented. They have the dudes.
They cannot afford to give up on Penix yet.
No, they literally can't.
They put too much. They put so much money into Kirk Cousins, and they put a first round, top 10 pick into Penix. So they have so much capital into the quarterback position right now that they physically cannot put any more like serious capital into the quarterback position. So you kind of just have to sit and pray at this point. That's all you can really do. And I know I for the last hour and 20 minutes of this podcast, we've kind of just chimed in saying, "Oh, Penix sucks. Penix." I said this earlier. I was talking to a couple friends. Penix is bad. Don't get me wrong. Penix is bad. But the reason you can't give up on him, outside of it being the situation with how much you have poured into the quarterback position already, is he makes throws that I want to say less than 10 other people in the world can make. And he'll do that like 1 or 2 times a week, where it's like, how in the world did you do that? And then he'll go and miss like 4 straight, like wide open, either check downs or dig routes 10 yards down the field with no one around him. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's like, you have to hold on to that hope and hope that he like turns it around, which, I mean, he can. He's got the arm talent to do it. He, in his college profile, he had the layering ability. He had good zip on his passes. Like, he has like those tools that you need. Problem is, injury prone. This is what, his 3rd ACL, pretty much, or 2nd ACL. Injury. He's old for how long he's been in the whatever. And you have to hold out hope, not only because you're forced to, but he reminds me a lot. I know I'm a Packers fan, so it's not holding as much weight as when I said this, but he reminds me a lot of like 2023 Jordan Love in those first like 7 weeks when he was just horrible. Yeah. Like when it was like, there was fans, mind you, Wisconsin fans, so probably not the smartest people ever, but there was fans out there calling for like, oh God, who was that quarterback? Sean Clifford. They were calling for Sean Clifford. They were calling for Sean Clifford to get put into the games because Jordan Love was that bad. I remember watching a game versus the Raiders, and he threw one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen. Robert Spillane, I don't. It literally looked like he was just throwing Robert Spillane like soft toss. It in that it was like that for 7 or 8 weeks in his first year starting, and it's like, but he had those throws that he'd make, like he made one against New Orleans that year, in a comeback win to Dobbs, like a fade route into the end zone. That you saw what he could be and what Jordan Love eventually turned into be. You see that in Penix, it's even worse. Like he misses more than Love did. It looks a lot like rookie Josh Allen, and I know people are like, "Oh, look what Josh Allen turned." Like, stop putting these young quarterbacks into the outlier. You can't compare. Comparing people to the outliers, like, it's a last-ditch effort to cope with that he sucked. More than likely, Penix sucks, and you're gonna have to move on from him. But you have to have like a slimmer of hope that he can like.
Here's the difference between Love and Penix. Love was able to sit for, what was it, 3 seasons?
Yep.
3 full seasons? Or 2 full seasons? Okay, so 3 full seasons, and was still one of the younger starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. Penix came into the league as I think it's a 24. I could be
close to 25, yeah.
Right. And he looks nowhere near pro ready. But he does have these flashes where you're like, I don't want to give up on him. Give him one more receiver, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Here's where the problem comes with that. You don't have a fucking first-round pick this year. Why do you have a first-round pick this year? Because you traded for James Pierce Jr. James Pierce Jr. has 4 sacks on the year. He's a good player. You're going to give a team that has essentially one thing they need to address, getting a new quarterback when Stafford retires. You gifted them the opportunity.
Yeah, they've ruined the NFL
to be in that position. And that's why that's why we have them in the worst situation, because they gifted a team in their conference a potential dynasty. Potential. Mm-hmm. And it hoed them, because now they don't have a first-round pick. And it's like, you can go take, a whoever in the second round at wide receiver. Do you expect them to have an impact? Like, maybe not, probably not. And like we said, the defense is talented. Like, I would not be shocked if this is like a really good defense in a year or 2 years. Like, they got dudes.
I totally agree.
They do. They need, and a Falcons fan, once again, shout out Brett, could probably tell me more about their coaching staff. Here's what I think they need to do. Offensive coordinator. Okay, completely retool the coaching staff. I don't care who you get at head coach. Get Mike McDaniel at offensive coordinator. I think he's worked with Tua, left-handed quarterback. Penix is twice the athlete that Tua is, way better arm talent. I think that is a match made in heaven. I don't care where you go with head coach, but I would ideally like it to be more like a Vrabel type move, where he's more of like a CEO.
CEO motivator type of guy.
Yeah, someone who can bring the team together, rally the team together. Like, I don't know who that would be, but like, that's kind of what I'd like to see. This team is in the worst situation, though, because of their quarterback situation. They didn't trade Kirk Cousins at the deadline, which means they fully guaranteed the rest of his contract. So you made your cap situation worse, man. You did. And, yeah, Penix might be something, but if he's not, you're not going to have an opportunity to draft a quarterback until at least 2027.
And this is the thing. So we're dunking on Atlanta. Like, Dolphins are a worse team than Atlanta right now, and the Raiders are obviously way worse than Atlanta right now. The thing is, so they don't have a first-round pick this year, so they can't replace a quarterback, which I don't think they should replace Penix right now. Next year, if Penix continues to not elevate his game, is not consistent, and you need to go quarterback, they're not going to be bad enough for you to draft a quarterback. You're going to have to go take a flyer on like what the Giants did with Dart, except I think Dart was a product of it was such a loaded class kind of everywhere else that Dart kind of just fell to a point where like, oh, you can take a flyer on it. Most years.
Yeah, I missed on Dart, unfortunately. He's just way better.
I'm with you there too. just most years you're not going to find a franchise quarterback in the 20s. It just doesn't happen very
Yeah, no,
often.
like never,
And so you're going
never.
to have to rely on that. You're going to have to rely on a draft pick in the mid-teens to early 20s to be your franchise quarterback
Yeah,
if Penix ends up not being good next year. If, say, Penix ends up working out, say Penix ends up being a top half quarterback, then this episode's going to age horribly. Falcons are going to be perfectly fine. And it's
great. Yeah,
not going to be a big after this year when they don't have their first round pick. It's not going to be a big deal, whatever. But if
yeah.
he doesn't work out, they just can't do anything.
It's and it's really hard to project because I do think the 2027 quarterback class is going to be really good. Julian Sayin, Arch Manning, Lenoris Sellers, Ty Simpson. I think it can be really good, but it's hard to project. And who knows? I thought this quarterback class was
Yep,
going to be
and then you
awesome.
got guys like
Nussmeier,
Nussmeier and
Lamar, Klubnik.
yeah,
Like I had high expectations for all these guys. You can't bank on that. You can't bank on that. If maybe you get lucky and you have a draft class like we had with Caleb and Daniels and May and the other quarterbacks that were taken in that. I won't even say their names. We talked about J.J. McCarthy the other day being one of the worst players to ever grace the
we don't need
field.
to talk about 9. We
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about 9 ever on any episode ever. But yeah, I think just to like wrap it up, put a bow on everything. The Falcons are the most talented team we talked about out of the worst situations. They have the most good players when you just stack them up amongst rosters. The problem here lies in they now I have no faith in them in free agency. None. I have no faith in their drafting. And not only do I have no faith in their drafting, they don't have the picks. They don't have the first round pick. And I'm sure they have the remainder of their picks. I don't admittedly know. But not having a first round pick with the flaws that you have on your team right now, it pushes your timeline back. And like maybe 2 years from now, you can't afford to extend
yeah.
Bijan Robinson. And maybe he pulls a Saquon. And it's like now he joins a contender and now you're fucked. Now you have no talent at all, So they're not a bad team right now, and I think that's a part of the problem.
Yeah, because if Penix doesn't work out, they can't fix anything. They're like we talked about the Packers in honorable mention at the beginning of the show. They're not a whole lot different than the Packers. Packers undoubtedly have more talent. Like I don't even, and they're younger. Like Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. So so Packers are obviously in a better situation. But if Penix ends up working out to the point, I don't think he's going to be as good as Jordan Love, but if he ends up being like a top 10 to 15 quarterback, then they're like in a very similar situation to Green Bay. So like this whole thing is very dependent on Penix, and
Yeah.
we're just kind of dunking on them because they decided to give the best team in the NFL just more. So that's kind of why.
Yeah. It hinges on Penix, and we don't like Penix I mean, I don't like Penix very much at all. I like the flashes, but like I've seen a million quarterbacks. I've seen Anthony Richardson have flashes, and I think he's going to be out of the league.
It's that whole class has flashes, and other than May and Daniels for his rookie year, haven't really like put it consistently.
I do still think Jayden Daniels.
Oh, Daniels will be perfectly fine. I think Caleb Williams is still. Caleb Williams. I hate the Bears.
Maybe it just takes Caleb a little bit more time. I don't know. Like I don't want to dunk on him because I see.
Oh no, he's good. He's good. He's already average.
Yeah.
I think he's like in that quarterback 12 to 18 tier. And for your second year, like you see the flashes with him as he's under Ben Johnson, he's going to continue to limit the missed layups and stuff because you go and you turn on a game and it's Caleb Williams is like 15 to 30, or Caleb Williams is like 17 to 29, and you go and you click through the throws that he's missing. It's like, well, that dude was wide open. That dude was wide open. And he's just missing them. But then there's 4 or 5, 6 plays a game, whereas Penix it's 1 or 2, where Caleb Williams is making a throw that I don't even know how the hell that just happened. That doesn't even make sense. He's doing that on a regular basis. So that's why I still believe Caleb Williams is going to be great. I think he could still be the best quarterback in that class. I don't think he will because I think Drake May is awesome. But I definitely think that the door is still open for him to be.
It could be
great.
It could be like a Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes situation where Deshaun Watson was so much better off rip from, rookie season until I guess Mahomes got his first start, and then it, completely flips. I have enough tape of Drake May at this point that I think he's probably just going to be the one. And then Jayden, I think, is going to be the two. I think he's going to be the two. I just don't know if Washington is going to fix his situation. I trust Chicago. Like, I think they draft well for the most part. I think they are one of the better free agency teams in football. I think they do really
They
good
just
there.
got to fix up that defense a little bit. And a lot of it's just kind of injury luck, which and whole linebacking
Yeah,
cores.
having not having one of the best corners in all of football
Yeah.
for I mean, that's rough. It's hard to come back from that. But I mean, to put a bow on this whole thing, Atlanta is fucked, and there's no better way for me to describe it. Like, you're just like kind of fucked. And same with the Raiders and Dolphins. Like, it's to the point where it's like, dude, you need like 3 A+ drafts to get you back into contention, like in a row.
That's what I do think the Falcons are in a considerably better situation than the Dolphins and Raiders.
And they draft well.
Yeah,
draft well.
And they do hit on their day 2 and 3 picks better at a higher rate than most teams.
Right.
I just wanted to dunk on them specifically because of what they did to the NFL with giving the Rams a potentially top 15 pick.
It's like what the OKC fans, right? It's like what the Clippers did with the Thunder. And like, obviously nobody expected it to pan out this way, but I don't think anyone expected the Kirk Cousins thing to pan out this way. I didn't. I thought Kirk Cousins would still had juice. I guess that's on me for older quarterback coming off an ACL tear.
Yeah.
But anyways, regardless, those are our 3 worst and best situations in football. I think we did a pretty good job describing the problems or the things we liked about the best teams. At the end of the day, no matter what we say, all it takes is one phenomenal or one shitty offseason to completely derail or get a team back on track. So no matter what, this podcast is going to look bad a year from now. Like, one of these teams that we said, one of the 6, is going to pan out opposite the way we think it is. I don't know who it is. Like, maybe the Rams just miss on their quarterback, and then that fucks them. And then,
by the time they find a quarterback, all their defensive pieces and Puka have to get paid, and then they just can't pay everybody. Stuff like that.
Right. I mean, like, that can happen. This is going to age bad, but I think we laid out some pretty good points. I really do truly believe everything that I just said about every team. And I stand on it. And it's going to be like this way with draft season. We didn't really mention it in the intro, but a primary focus of this podcast is going to be draft and evaluation and film reviews and all 22. And just that's what I love doing. That is my favorite part about all this. So it'll be very fun to kind of track these situations and see what they do, especially with LA. Like, I'm enamored about what they can do this offseason. Like, I mean, I'm not the biggest Fernando Mendoza guy, but goddamn, if there was a scheme where he could make it work, McVay, like, match made in heaven, man. Absolute match made in heaven. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, man. It was a ton of fun getting on here with you, man. Like, we haven't done this in a podcast form ever. We talk sports all the time, but super fun to hop on here. We're going to try to make this twice a week. That's what we agreed on. Still kind of working out the schedule for things. I think ideally we'd like to get a podcast out Monday and Friday. What did we?
Well, we did this on a Wednesday, and today's Wednesday. Going to post it on Thursday.
Okay.
Because Wednesday makes it so that you can kind of recap the week as a whole, and then Monday.
Right. We didn't talk about any of the games, but like we can.
Yeah, and in future episodes we can talk about the state of the NFL, stuff like that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, no, I appreciate you hopping on here with me. Fun. Now I gotta edit this shit, man. So
oh shoot! Should we tell them to follow at?
Yes. I'm glad you said that. Okay, so plugging our socials real quick. Follow Jayden Seeger on Instagram at Siegs1717. That's how his last name is spelled. Give him a follow. Great dude. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it is LandonL11. If you want to follow me on TikTok, it is Lando Knows Ball on TikTok. If you want to subscribe to me on YouTube, it is BKLANDO _ on YouTube. Just give us a look, man. We're trying to get this thing off the ground, and we're trying to give a different perspective and just a different look on scouting and on just the NFL or the NBA in general. That's what we're going to talk about.
We also will have an Instagram account for this podcast. Ball
right. Yes.
and Blitz Pod, correct?
Yes. Yep. Ball and Blitz
Yep.
Pod on Instagram.
And make sure it's N, not in. Ball and Blitz. Just making sure we get that out there.
Yep.
We will post clips of what we have put on here. We will post, clips of film cut-ups that we put together and are going to talk about, and just stuff that we see. Just post whatever.
We'll see stuff.
And we would also love to hear input from any of you. So come give us a message. Tell us what you'd like to see, what you liked, what you didn't like, so we can make this a better viewing experience for all of you.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll post stuff individually on there. It's not always going to be podcast. It's going to be individual draft breakdowns, cut-ups, film reviews, all that stuff, all that fun stuff that you guys love watching if you're watching this sports podcast. So I hope you have an amazing night or day whenever you're watching this. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your long weekend. And, we'll see y'all next week.